everybody, Dr. Nelson here. This is a video lesson about representing the probability of events on a number line. So what we're going to do, you're going to take notes with me. So what I write down, you write down on your paper, okay? And then you have a chance to pause the video, try a couple problems on your own. And then at the end, you can see how you did, all right? So when you think of chance events, it's all the probabilities that exist, right? So some probabilities are very likely, right? And some probabilities are unlikely, and some are certain, and some are impossible. So this number line actually represents all those possibilities. So what I want you to do is down here, we're going to write the number 0, and that represents a 0% chance of an event happening. Where over here, we're going to write down the number 1, okay? And that number 1 represents a 100% chance of that event happening, okay? And all the space in between represents all the other possibilities. So if you think about it, right in the middle, between 0 and 1, we could say 0.5. And 0.5 as a percent would be 50%. And then between 50% and 100% is 75%. So we'll put 75% here. And as a decimal, it would be 0.75. And then between 0 and 50%, we have 25%, which is 0.25. All right. So every one of these numbers represents something. All right. So the number 0, right? If there is a 0% chance of an event happening, that means it's impossible. So let's write impossible. All right, that would be an impossible event. Where on the other side over here, the number 1 or 100%, that means the event is certain to happen. All right, so on one side of the number line, we have impossible. On the other side, we have certain. Now, in the middle, right, it's kind of like flipping a coin, where you have a 50-50 chance of getting heads or tails. So this is going to be equally likely. All right, equally likely to occur, okay? Over here is going to be unlikely. And then over here is going to be likely. All right, and we have all the values in between as well. So a number line may be used to represent the likelihood of an event. All right, so take a look at this spinner. Here we have a spinner with 3 colors. We have blue, yellow, and green, okay? And I want to place the probabilities of these events on the happening on the number line. All right, I'm going to use a different color because I can. I'm going to go with, we'll say red, okay? So the probability of spinning the spinner and having it land on blue, well, that blue represents about 1/4 of the spinner, right? So 1/4 is about 25%, or is 25%, which is unlikely. So the probability of it landing on blue would fall into the unlikely category. The probability of the spinner landing on green, notice the green is 50% of the spinner. So that's going to be 50%. It's going to be green, okay? Now, the probability of it landing on red, notice that there's no red, right? So that would be an impossible event. So that means this one is going to be under the impossible category, like this. And then finally, the probability of the spinner landing on yellow, blue, or green, well, that's all 3 of the colors, right? So that's guaranteed to happen. So because it's guaranteed, that means that would be a certain event, like this. All right? So what I want you to understand is that all events have a likelihood of happening, okay? And they can be represented on a number line from 0, which is 0%, all the way to 1, which is 100%. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and try the Your Turn Now problems. And when you're done, hit play, and you can see how you did. All right, good luck. All right, welcome back. Let's say I did with these problems, okay? So what you had to do is you had to classify these events as either impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, or certain, all right? And don't forget, impossible means it's a 0% chance of happening. And then certain is a 100% chance. And then all between we have unlikely, equally likely, and likely. Remember, equally likely has to be 50%. All right. So the first one says you will win the raffle if you purchase 2 out of 20 tickets, right? Well, think about it. 2 out of 20 can be reduced down to 1 in 10. So if I have a 1 in 10 chance, that's not very likely, is it, right? It's not impossible. So this would be unlikely. The next one, you toss a quarter and it lands on heads. Well, I know that the probability of getting a heads is 1 out of 2. And 1 out of 2, 1/2 can be written as 50%. So 50% is going to be equally likely as not. So that's going to be this one. Now, spinning the spinner and landing on a G or a B. Well, over here we have G, which is 50%, and B, which is another 25%, right? So that means altogether there's a 75% chance of landing on a G or B. So that means that's going to be in the likely category. But now it says spinning the spinner and landing on R. Notice that there's no R, right? So because there's no R, there's a 0% chance of that happening. So that's going to be impossible. The next one says the chance of it raining in April. Okay. Well, April, yeah, it tends to be pretty wet in April, right? So, but there's no guarantee it's going to rain. Right? You can't guarantee it, but I would say it's very likely that it's going to rain in April. And then finally, the chance of winning rock, paper, and scissors. Well, this is kind of a skill game. It really depends who you're playing. So either you're going to win, you're going to lose, or you're going to tie when you play this game, right? So the chances of winning, I would say, are fairly unlikely. But I'd say it's more equally likely than unlikely, but it'd be kind of in between. All right. So hopefully you understand that all events have a probability happening, and it ranges from 0% impossible to 100% certain. All right. Thanks for watching.